Okay, so ironically, just in time for Irish Heritage Month, we bring you this film, Pixie. One of those ones I found while just scrolling through the new and in theaters thing on the DirecTV. And one that I saw the trailer for and was like, okay, we got to kind of check that out. So Pixie exists in this bizarre world, this mashup of old school independent films, which, as I've mentioned on this channel multiple times, I'm not the biggest fan of. I find a lot of independent movies to be more than a little pretentious. But this film is one where it takes a lot of the tropes, one of the premier tropes of those independent road pictures, and kind of turns it on its head. While doing that, it also incorporates a lot of characteristics from kind of underground Irish crime movies. You know, those films that seem to have a dedicated cult following, and ones that, as you're watching them the whole time, you're wondering just when it's appropriate for you to wave your hands in the air and go quirky. And this film is marinated in that aesthetic. There is just a lot of quirkiness in this film, but I never get the feeling that it's quirkiness for the sake of quirkiness. I'm gonna stop doing that now. I don't know why I did it that many times in succession. That was not planned. But it seems like all of these elements come together and work very well together. And what the result is, kind of a delightful little picture. I wouldn't call it like the greatest thing I've ever seen, but it was certainly an enjoyable watch and something I will most likely want to watch again. So, getting off track, let's talk about this. So our main character of Pixie is the daughter of an Irish gangster who masterminds this whole plot to steal drugs from a rival gang. This gang being made up completely of priests, nuns, and people of the cloth. I'm sure saying something about the Catholic Church, but I am nowhere near enough of a theologian to kind of suss that out. But she masterminds this thing with her ex-boyfriend and her current boyfriend to steal this money, or steal this load of drugs from them. It goes sideways. The drugs end up in the possession of these two kind of well-meaning but hapless kind of idiots. Not in the, kind of idiot, but just these two kind of clueless college boys who then get mixed up with Pixie as they go on the run to, one, get away from the people that they've accidentally murdered, and two, the people who want their drugs back, to sell the drugs and get out of Ireland and go live a happy life in San Francisco for some reason. San Francisco being the promised land for Pixie. So again, it blends a lot of the tropes of the independent road movie with a lot of the tropes of, again, the Irish kind of underground action film. And I think where this film is at its strongest is the way it kind of takes those tropes, is very aware of those tropes, and has fun turning them on its head. The main target, to me, as I watch this film, is the characterization of Pixie herself, by her very name, and by the manner of the kind of films that these are kind of emulating. I believe this to be an obvious reference to the character trope of the Manic Pixie Dream Girl. Now, for those who are not familiar with the independent movie scene and have never encountered the Manic Pixie Dream Girl trope, it's one that's come under some fire recently. I was reading an article about it about a month ago, I think, and about the dangers of the Manic Pixie Dream Girl archetype. So basically, in these usually it's a road movie, with people going on a road trip for some reason, because they're cheap to film for independent filmmakers. You just get in the car and point the camera out the window. And usually the protagonists of such a film are guys like our two male leads in this picture. Two, well-meaning, but kind of clueless to the way the world really works type fellas. Or, one usually led around by the power of boners, as we have here, and one who is, book smart, but shy and afraid of everything. Again, the two characters that we have in this film, and usually along the trip, they encounter the Manic Pixie Dream Girl. This is the girl with the multicolored hair and, dressed with kind of a hodgepodge of styles, who doesn't believe in birthdays and can't see the color orange, and doesn't think that suitcases have to be rectangles and she can use a cello case. Instead, all of these examples I'm taking from the American Dad episode Independent Movie, which deconstructs the Pixie Dream Girl even more. Kate Winslet in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind would be an example of a Manic Pixie Dream Girl. And one of the criticisms that's been lobbed at this archetype over the last, especially in this article that I was reading, is that the character has no drive of their own. They're just kind of wandering. And they're there solely to influence the male protagonist. So it's another instance of a woman being seen as an object. And maybe it's not a sexual object, though they normally do end up as sexual partners for one or both of the characters in these road movies. But, that object of fulfillment, that object, that the personification of what the character is looking for embodied in this one kind of offbeat, off-center character. So, once again, we see, that the female in those films doesn't really, as much as they try to give her a personality and they try to think that quirks are personality traits, she actually has no personality and is just there for the service of the male story. And I found that to be, I was thinking about that article a lot while I was watching this film, because what struck me the most about this film is how Pixie, while, again, clearly meaning to be a Manic Pixie Dream Girl, in her, she's not offbeat in her fashion sense, but, her aesthetic, what she wants to do, where she wants to go, and all of that kind of stuff is just that little bit of off-center from the rest of the characters. But in this narrative, the character of Pixie, played by Olivia Cooke, is 100% in control. She is the master chess player, and all of the other characters, despite what they think, are just being moved around the board by her. And this is especially true in the case of her two male compatriots there. There's a scene where they go in to see the drug dealer who they're going to try to sell these stolen drugs to, and he says, "I gotta go, Ron, Hermione, and Harry are in my office." And it's a funny line, but it's more than that. It is definitely pointing out that dynamic. And this film is saying, but what if Hermione, being obviously the smartest of the three characters, what if she was just fucking the other two around? What if she wasn't still kowtowed to the male protagonist, but was instead manipulating everything to her needs behind the scenes? This comes out, probably one of the best scenes in the movie. I really love the way they did this. Is, of course, again, in her two male counterparts, you have the one who is led around by the power of boners, who is trying to fuck her, constantly, and yet the other one who's just like, oh no, we should go to the cops, that kind of scared of his own shadow kind of thing. Matter of fact, the whole conflict of the film, the inciting incident, is the Power of Boners guy there, trying to have sex with Pixie, but she manipulates him into putting on makeup and posing nude for photos instead. So there's a great example. But an even better example comes late in the film when they're in a hotel room, and she starts to make out with both of them and starts to lead them into this belief that they're going to have a three-way, which is something that would happen in one of those independent movies, kind of that breaking of sexual mores kind of things, break down the walls of, don't be so conservative with your sexual outlook kind of. That'd be big in one of those independent movies. So she's making out with both of them. She's leaning them in the bed. She kind of looks at them both, gives them this look, and they look at each other, and they realize that she wants them to kiss each other. And they do, both of them thinking that this is just a way to get to her. And she sits there and she watches and she smiles, and they're done, and they look at her and the music's playing. She says, well, don't you two just make a lovely couple? She fucked them. She mind fucked them. Which again is it was just fantastic. It was just a great moment of turning that Manic Pixie Dream Girl concept on its head and saying, no, she is in control of this. She's not an object for them. She is not the answer to their problems. They are a means for her to solve hers, which is wonderful. And so I love that, and I love the character of Pixie. Olivia Cooke does a wonderful job. All the characters in this are very well written, very well performed. It's a funny little film. Big ups gotta go to my man Cole Meany, Chief O'Brien, here playing a character named Mr. O'Brien, which, I can't believe he didn't, pick up the irony of that. He plays Pixie's gangster father, and I kind of believe there's very few people better in the business than Cole Meany. He is just so good, and what I love about him and what he brings to bear in this role is, again, something he perfected on his years in Star Trek. Is one of the things Cole Meany does so well is he plays a perfect blue-collar, everyday person, someone you could bump into walking down the street or going to the store, who is embroiled in these bigger-than-life situations. And here playing this the head of this crime family, but most of the interaction we see with him is as a father. When we learn that he's Pixie's father, her stepfather actually, she goes to see him for dinner, and he opens the door in an apron, and he's cooking. There's this wonderful character scene where he is just in the kitchen watching a kitchen show and, chopping the peppers along with the woman on the TV, and she says, but don't use green peppers, and he's cut green peppers. He's like, shit, and he it's just these wonderful little character tweaks that would make that any other actor I don't think would be able to pull off as well. But Cole Meany makes it work, and you see that this is a person with a multi-layered character and not just kind of the archetype. So a big ups to my man Cole Meany. I love me a Cole Meany picture. Alec Baldwin is in this as well as the head of the other crime family, the ones that dress as nuns and priests and things, or actually are nuns and priests and things. They're not dressed as, they actually are. He's fine. It's one of those things where, like, okay, that's clearly Alec Baldwin, and they advertise, what little advertisement this film had, that Alec Baldwin is in this picture. And I'm watching it going, okay, why did they need Alec Baldwin for this, other than the fact you can say Alec Baldwin is in the movie, which is probably the answer to my question. He's not bad at all. He's quite good, but it's like, why him? There are no other Irish actors, or there's no one else who could have done this. It's not like this role needed Alec Baldwin-ness. It's just, but yeah, the fun of this film and the brilliance of this film is just watching Pixie kind of control the board and move the people where she needs them. Because if you've ever seen a heist movie, in the end somebody's going to get conned, and you're watching it going, she's conning these two saps. She's got to be. And while I believe there is genuine affection she has for them, when the final con comes, you're like, yeah, because that's what she's doing. Because that's how good she is. I'm not going to say it's perfect. But I'm hard-pressed to really come up with a lot of criticism for it. The quirkiness of it works well. It's not too quirky. I think they have fun with the character traits and the bizarreness that they set up, like the gang of priests, like Colmini being, Martha Stewart at home. The Irish accents sometimes get thick, and it's hard to understand what some of them are saying, but that's neither here nor there. Of course, we have to have a shot of Pixie on the toilet. And I hate when movies do that. I hate seeing people on the toilet. Call me a prude all you want, but, I always believe that's why we put doors on the bathroom stalls, so we wouldn't have to see people on the toilet. But every movie I fucking watch, you gotta see a person on the toilet. Anywho, I'm hard-pressed to find anything really wrong with this picture. It's nothing grand. It's nothing outstanding or amazing, but it is a nice, fun... I think that's a big thing. It's fun. The dialogue, the character interactions. There is just a lot of fun to be had in this movie. So it's fun, it's funny, and the acting is quite good. Olivia Cooke is the head of it, but everybody in here is pulling their weight and doing their job, and it comes off very well. The film is very enjoyable. So... I really don't have much else to say. It's a good little picture, and I think you should check it out. So where does this rate? So final grade for Pixie. I'm going a B+ on this one. I'm going a B+. Fun, interesting, a thoughtful deconstruction of the tropes of both film genres that it's borrowing for. And yeah, I had a great time watching it. I thought it was a cute picture. So if you're out there and you need something, you're looking for something to pass the time, give this one a watch. I think you'd enjoy it. All right, so that is all for me this time out. Again, new reviews are kind of hard to come by right now, but vaccinations are rolling out. Hopefully soon my old stomping ground might be reopened, and we can actually do these a little bit more frequently. So until that happens, we're going to keep it here. Check out some of the other series I got going on. I have a great time doing them, and I'd love if you enjoyed them as well. So thanks for joining me, and until next time, drive safe, and I will see you at the movies.